Bringing people to your church would be a lot easier if you had a clear, simple, easy to follow roadmap that told you what to do that's going to work to bring people into your church. Well, in this video, I'm going to give you that exact roadmap. I'm also going to share the secret formula to creating that perfect church invite that gets people to take action and to actually check you out in person. Plus, I'm going to uncover our process for ranking churches not once, not twice, but 3 times on the front page of Google. Also, you can make more disciples by tripling the number of church guests coming to your church in 90 days. You can share the gospel with them and impact your community and increase the righteous in your community. Let's go.
Welcome to the Best Known Church Show, where we show you how to 10x your reach with church marketing that will help you increase your impact, make more disciples, and become the cornerstone of your community again. This is for the leaders with an outrageous vision, because anything less would be an inaccurate reflection of our Creator. The ones who have unreasonable faith, because you know God works unreasonable miracles. And the ones who are relentless in the pursuit of your calling, because anything less would not make a good and faithful servant. If that's you, you're in the right place. Now, please welcome your host and guide on this journey to become the best known organization in your community, Justin Nava.
Welcome to the Best Known Church Show. This is the place where you're going to learn not to get your church out there, but to become the best known organization in your community. If we have not met, if you don't know who I am, I take full responsibility for that. But my goal is to make the next 30 minutes of your life the most valuable 30 minutes of your week, of your ministry. I want you to look back at this episode 44, Church Marketing Strategies to Stand Out from Other Churches. I hope that my prayer is that this episode becomes a turning point in your ministry. A turning point is something where you look back and you realize that's where things changed. That was the catalyst. That was the right turn or the U-turn. We have lots of different turning points in our lives and in our ministries. And I think I had one this morning as I was reading in Isaiah. One of my favorite stories, Elijah, a Joe with the J, Elijah challenging the prophets of Baal, saying, hey, my God's better than yours. Let's have a fire contest, right? That's my description of the events. But as I was thinking, because I basically eat, sleep, and breathe church promotion, church marketing, how do we get people's attention to turn it on to Jesus Christ through the context of the local church? And as I was reading the story, I began to see a little bit, hang with me here, I began to see a little bit of marketing inside of Elijah. So I was sitting here like, okay, I've been really studying 1, 2, 3. We've crafted a perfect invite framework to get your church inviting people easier, not stumbling or feeling nervous because they don't know what to say. I'm going to share with you that process in this video. Okay, but Elijah kind of used the same thing. He set up a dramatic demonstration to show people, I'm reading my notes here, that the Lord was the one true God, not Baal. Isn't that what we want for our churches? We want to show our community that when they have problems, both worldly and spiritual, quite honestly, Jesus Christ is the answer. And that's so often the problem that I see in the world today, especially in the American culture, is that people have spiritual needs, spiritual thirst, spiritual problems, and yet they keep chasing worldly solutions to try to solve that. And of course, like we always like to say growing up, you can't fit a square peg in your God-shaped hole. Okay, so Elijah challenged the prophets of Baal to call down fire from heaven, but only God responded, right? They were both sitting there saying, hey, here's the answer, show your power, but only God responded. In fact, Elijah even liked to show off, right? I think that's the part that every youth pastor likes to address when he teaches the topic, right? Maybe your God's somewhere else. I'm not going to go into what that is here on the podcast, but look, this was, in my mind, in my mindset, okay? Hang with me here. This was, in my mindset, the perfect demonstration of marketing, specifically using marketing to capture attention, point attention to God, show the transformation that only God can provide. Think about this. He generated interest. He did a challenge, okay? He actively showed the superiority of God. He showcased his position. I'm a prophet of the Most High. Okay, and then he contrasted God against the false God. That's transformation. Look at what my God can do, and look at what yours can't. We use marketing in this similar style, right? We generate interest. We compel people's attention, right? And then we showcase how our church is the solution. In this case, God is the only one that can make the fire go, right? And then we showcase the transformation. Well, look, hey, there's the evidence right there, a burning fire on wet logs, right? Every other worldly option should pale in comparison to the power of Jesus Christ and the purpose and the peace, the perfect peace and joy that he can give us that no one else can take. When we properly showcase that in today's modern American culture, that's where we get people to see the power in the kingdom of God and to make a decision to say, you know what? I'm going to take that next step, whatever you tell people to do. Right. And so we have to realize that we can't wing it. We're not Elijah. We're not all blessed with that power of prophecy, right? Or the power to just show off like that and confidence. Maybe someday I'd love that, right? Faith like a mustard seed. But we have mechanisms, we have methodologies, we have strategies, and with those come tactics. You got to have the strategy before you have the tactic. Otherwise, you're just shooting blind. We'll talk about that later. Okay. And what I've done is I've been able to figure out an exact roadmap that if you follow it, because I followed it on accident, and then I kind of wrote it down and followed it on purpose. And now we're seeing amazing results. If you follow this roadmap, you're going to have good results. So let's get into it. I'm going to share with you the roadmap. I'm going to do it pretty quick. You can go and watch past podcast episodes or show episodes, past archive to get a fuller deep dive. But just to refresh everyone, bring us all on the same page, whether you followed me the entire year we've been doing this, or whether you're a client or whether this is your first episode watching or listening, I want you to get a context of the vehicle that we're talking about. Okay. So here's the deal. You're going to waste a lot of budget and waste a lot of time if you don't have a clear roadmap to bring people to your church and be discipled. I wasted a lot of time, and I'm going to say it here for the first time. I wasted a lot of church budget on not only courses, books, trainings, college classes, on my own salary, because I was essentially paid $18,000 in salary to figure out how to make a church website. That should have just been done, right? And that $18,000 was paying me to do other things to advance the kingdom instead of sitting behind a computer screen constantly. Anyways, that was a lot of wasted money. But eventually I did figure it out, but it was 6 months to figure it out. And then another 3 months to even see results come from that. But here's what happened. We launched that site, which, by the way, I took courses. I paid a lot of money on books. I even took a college class. I don't tell many people that. I was kind of ashamed of it. Okay. But I spent a lot of time trying to figure this thing out. Okay. And I know a lot of you are spending a lot of time spinning your wheels and you don't know what to do. You don't know how to do it. You're following all the experts, but you just can't seem to make it work. I get you. I was in that spot following those same experts, but eventually I did put together a website I felt represented our church, accurately reflected our heart, accurately reflected the people that we were called to serve, and gave people a journey to take action. And 3 months after we launched that website, all right, we had 13 families join the church that quarter, okay? We had a new members lunch, met every quarter. All the families that joined that quarter came, and we met and talked and fellowshiped and all that good stuff. Of those 13 families, when we asked them, what brought you to our church, 12 of them mentioned the website as playing a role in their decision to visit our church. At that moment, I knew I had something, and it just so happens later on that year, God called that pastor away at the time to another church, and he basically called me up and was like, "Hey, Justin, can you do for us what you did for your church?" And I said, "Absolutely." And we built the website. We saw some results, but we realized then as time was going on that it wasn't just enough to have a website now. Now you had to figure out how to get it seen, how to get it ranked, so to speak. Ranking is like, where do you fit on Google, right? First, second, third, fourth, 600th, okay? Fine. Figure out how to rank websites. Did it. Great. Doing really good again. Things started slowing down again. Why? Because now everyone had basic ranking. You had to go do the advanced stuff. Not only that, God was working in my heart that if we did church websites and we ranked them really well, guess what? We were just showing up for people that were searching for church websites. Okay. We weren't showing up to the lost mission field that didn't understand that When they have questions, Jesus Christ is the answer. When they are living their everyday life, the church is here to serve them. They don't know what they don't know, and we can't blame them for that. But what we can do is take responsibility. And that's where I had to learn advertising, which is interrupting people's days with a message that will improve their day in a way that they didn't even realize was possible. And then I realized you can't do one piece, because if you try to advertise without a proper website, well, you're just gonna waste people's time. And if you have a website without advertising, you're just going to get more Christians and more people that at least understand they need a church. See, the problem was I was shooting randomly, and that's where I want to bring the focus back to you, pastor, back to you, church leader, is, are you shooting randomly? Are you you got a target on the wall, you know that target, but you don't know exactly how to aim, so you're just firing different things. Worst case, you're putting wrong bullets in the gun, and it's backfiring on you. Right? How many times have you attempted to do an ad and had no results? And not only did you waste the money, you had to go out in front of your elders. You had to go in front of your spouse even, or someone else who said, I told you so. Right? That's difficult. That's painful. I hate that. Not only that, you're trying to fit the different pieces together. Okay? You're not only trying to fit the wrong bullet in the wrong gun. Okay? You're not even grabbing bullets, you're grabbing puzzle pieces. Right? Puzzle pieces don't belong. I mean, I'm probably going to get demonetized on YouTube, but whatever. You're grabbing things that don't even go inside the mechanism. Okay? Because look, here's the deal. Everything works, but not everything works for everyone. And if you try to mix and match different pieces, you're going to get different results. And so if Guru 1 says do this and you'll see results, and Guru 2 that you're also subscribed to on YouTube, that you're also on their email list, that you also downloaded a Facebook ad, whatever for, and they're saying do this instead, well, if you do a little bit from Guru 1 and a little bit from Guru 2, you're going to get a whole lot of nothing, okay? Because different things work for different people. Okay. And so you have to have a clear roadmap to get people to take action. And then lastly, the problem that I see often, pastor, and this is where we got to look inward. Okay. We can look outward and say that was the problem. I understand that I tried this. That was the problem. But this next one is an internal issue. You won't stick with something long enough to see it actually come to fruition. All right. A lot of diets work. They don't work in a week. And so maybe you go in, make one change to your website that someone said. Maybe it was something I said, right? You make one change and you're like, great, I'm going to start seeing people come in, and they didn't. Well, because you got to monitor that change. You got to keep it fresh. You got to keep it updated. You got to keep it alive. Your website. You run one ad. You run it for 5 days. Folks, if you didn't know this, an ad takes 5 days just to learn how to reach people, okay? So if you take an ad and you run it for 5 days, it's essentially the same as me giving my daughter her spelling words and then quizzing her as she's seeing them for the first time. Okay. It doesn't work like that. Just a little bonus there. So what do you need to do? What is the roadmap? Look, I've gone over the roadmap. I'm going to share my screen really quick. I'm going to put up the graphic here. Hopefully it's the new one. It's not, because I don't know how to organize myself. Let me grab the new one here really quick. Where is my definitive church marketing? I don't even think I have it on this computer, unfortunately. Let me see if I can zoom it in here. Oh, yeah, I can do that. Come on, go in there. Oh, it doesn't even want to zoom. All right. Well, you can at least see the phases here on the right side. So, look, here's what it looks like, okay? It happens in 3 phases. If you don't do these 3 phases, okay, you are going to be sticking things in different orders where they don't belong without building the proper foundation. We all know how it goes when we preach. All right. You build a house on sand, it's going to fall through. If you try to run ads without doing your foundation properly, you're going to fall through. Okay. So look, real quick, high level view. I cannot get into it all right now because I have other things I want to tell you today. So you can go back and watch previous videos or listen to previous podcasts to get the full rundown. But I'm going to go wide this time. Okay. You got to figure out, how are you going to capture people's attention? How are you going to influence your culture in a way, your community in a way that is going to get them to pay attention to you and to understand that it is worthwhile to take a next step with you. Because if you just go out there and say, hey, God loves you and he wants to meet you Sundays at 10:30, what does that have to do with my finances that I'm struggling with? What does that have to do with my relationships that I'm having a hard time with? What does that have to do with my self-identity that I'm struggling with and can't figure out? Everyone else, I will tell you who's trying to tell me what my identity is, both good and bad. So when you tell me that God loves me and he wants to meet me Sunday at 10:30, I don't understand how that meets my needs. I don't understand how that cures my pain points. At least Jesus said, hey, are you hungry? Let's eat. Are you thirsty? I got an even better drink for you, right? So we have to first look at ourselves and say, what are we here to do? What is our unique giftings to uniquely reach a unique group of people? All right. I'm not saying alienate people. I'm not talking about your target audience. Okay. I'm talking about who has God equipped you to effectively serve and what is keeping them up at night that Jesus is the answer for. That's how you capture their attention. We'll get to that in a minute in the perfect invite. Okay. And then you have to get that anchored into a way that where in the same way I know what a Coke tastes like and I know what a Pepsi tastes like and I don't need to taste it. I don't need to taste both to figure out which one I want. I walk into the gas station, I grab the red can. I go to a restaurant and they say, is Pepsi okay? I don't have to say, do I have to taste, can I taste them both just to see? No, I know Pepsi is never okay. All right. So in the same way, when someone hears about your church or sees your church, I'm not talking about the building. I'm talking about people wearing your shirts, people you go and serve. Maybe there's a tent in the parking lot, or maybe you're at an event. Okay, they should be able to recognize who your church is, why you exist, what you're here to do, and those pain points, those needs that you meet in a split second. And that comes from knowing how you can influence your community and how you can serve them. All right. Then you have to figure out your position. That's phase 2. Okay. So now that you know kind of what your message is, which by the way, you figure out those 2 things, you're going to triple your church guests in 90 days. I guarantee it. Okay. We've seen that happen countless time again with Story Brand Consulting. Okay. But not only that, now you take that message and you position yourself to show up when people are searching for a church. And when you show up, when they're searching for a church and you show up with the right message that communicates and says, I understand you, I've been there, and we have a way out through Jesus Christ. When you speak like that to people that are searching for churches, number 1, you're actually going to get people to click through your website and actually use your website. But number 2, Google is going to understand that you are an authority in the space and you are providing a tremendous value because obviously whenever someone goes to your website, they keep clicking through. You're obviously doing something right. Let's rank it higher. And not only that, go back and watch my episode on the under the radar method to get people to see your testimonies without waiting for them to visit your website or without needing them to follow you on social media. This is how you get your testimonies seen by hundreds, even thousands of people, even if they don't know you. And when you get those reviews, by the way, that share God's testimony, Google will rank you higher so you're seen by more people. But that's not it, okay? Again, we can't stop there. Otherwise, we're just going to get more Christians, and the lost people we do get are shopping around for a church or trying to find something or aren't sure. They're doubters, okay? We've got to multiply this momentum that you have, okay? By now, you're probably 5 or 6 times the number of people that are checking out your church. Now you multiply that momentum. Now you do direct advertising. That's one-on-one advertising to get in front of people who didn't even know that they don't know you. People that are searching for marriage counseling and would never think to go to a church for marriage counseling. People that are searching for addiction resources and would never think that a church could do anything other than host an AA meeting. But they find out that you have an actual, maybe AA they think didn't work. I think AA does work, but maybe they don't think AA doesn't work. And you have a different program that you can help them with. And when they search for those programs, your church shows up in a Google ad, paid for by Google, by the way. But not only that, people that are new to the area, people that are going through divorce, people that are having financial issues, or maybe people you want to serve. Maybe you've got free lunch programs for the summer for kids that don't have school to get free lunch, right? Well, you can create ads to promote that, to develop relationships with a kind of person. And this just multiplies the momentum because now you're not waiting for people to come to you. You're going to people. And you're using modern marketing methods to do it because if you don't do it, someone else is going to take that ad spot. And I guarantee you that other person, unless it's another church, they are not going to give them that everlasting water that we have. Okay, that's the definitive church marketing method in a nutshell. Just looking at those phases, you notice I didn't even hit the last pieces of each one, because that is just increasing the momentum of the snowball. And this is something that we did with a church in South Florida. We was getting about 3 guests a month, and pastor called me and was like, Justin, I don't know what you're doing. Well, actually, he didn't know what I'm doing, but figuratively, I don't know what you're doing, but we had 30 people come last month. And I mean, that was a good month, but I'd say on a bad month now, 20 new people. Okay. And they're coming in, they're experiencing God's healing. They're coming to the revivals they're doing. Pastor's getting asked to go to lead crusades or revival in another town. It's truly awesome. I'm very blessed to be able to work with these folks. And look, if it can work for them, all right. This is a pastor who was spinning his wheels, was tired. I mean, the first time I said, "Hey, pastor, how's it going?" He just dumped on me, right? And was like, "Here's all the problems I'm having with people like you." Okay, but he took a next step with me anyways. And God, we've done amazing things in partnership with God. I mean, really, God's doing it all, moving the Holy Spirit, all that stuff through what we're doing. It's been amazing to reach his community in a way that they didn't even realize that the church was there to help them. So, look, let me talk about the perfect church invite that's working right now. We've run through this with some clients. It's based off the Story Brand framework, but we've kind of updated it a little bit to make it easier to give not only to your church staff. Your church staff shouldn't be the only ones making invites. Your church people should be making invites. So let me share with you the secret sauce to creating a perfect church invite that captures attention when you invite someone to church, and get people to seriously consider taking a next step with your church. Because if you invite someone to church and they don't understand why they should take a next step with you, why they should come to church, come to an event, watch this video, they are not going to do anything. Okay. This is where a lot of church invites fall flat, is because they don't have the 4 elements that are necessary to get people to go from unaware to unsure to I need that. We did the same thing with the church I mentioned earlier. Okay, we took their message from God wants to meet you Sundays at 10:30, which is true. Okay, but now, look, we understand that the world has its boot on your neck, and when you feel like you've made just an inch forward progress, you are dragged back to where you started, or even worse. You're worse off, you're broken down, you don't feel better. And it makes it even harder to get out of bed every day. The good news is that you can overcome that, and it won't be under your own power. It will be God through you. If you're sick, God will heal you. If you're tired, he will boost you. If you're burdened, he will take that burden off. And there is more for you in life, for you to love better, to live better, to serve better, to give better. Come to church 10:30 Sunday morning. I think it's at 10:30, whatever it is. Maybe it's 11. When you take a message like that, you show why someone should care about your church. You get their attention. You show why they should care, and you call them to action. Look, it resonated with people so much in their church and in their community that it's now part of their new member class. I don't think anyone else has done this. We have some stuff that we give that go through this system, this process, and pastors like printing it, laminating it, and going through their new members class. It's awesome. I love it. So, but what's the difference? Why is this working now versus why didn't what happened before work? Look, before they were sounding like every other church, right? Sundays at 10:30, Sundays at 11. God wants to meet you. Okay. You're welcome here. Guess what? If every church says you're welcome here, it loses all meaning. Stop using you're welcome here. Okay. Same thing with you belong here. I belong everywhere. The Mexican restaurant down the street says I belong there. Okay. So if you can't differentiate yourself from every other church, you're going to sound like every other church. And guess what? I've tried other churches. And if you sound like them, I'm going to assume that you're the same as them. And if they couldn't help me, if they hurt me, I'm going to assume that you hurt me and can't help me either. Okay. We all have red flags that we listen to when we are watching something, listening to something, meeting someone, and they do something or say something that's like, you know what? I've seen someone do that before, and it did not end up good. So no, thank you. Okay. Well, guess what? If some church put you're welcome here and someone visited and they were very obviously not welcomed, when you say you're welcome here, they're going to think they're lying just like the other church. You have to have uniqueness. Okay. But not only that, you have to resonate with them personally, right? If you're not resonating with people personally, then you come off as a corporate entity, a faceless entity. And that's what a lot of American churches have become. And that's what the position of a lot of folks on the American church. Well, it's just a business. It's the church industry, which, I mean, yeah, right. I run a business serving churches. I totally get that. But they're personal. That's church to person, not business to business. Okay, that's personal. So you should have a personal invite that shows you understand their needs and you understand their desires, their needs, their wants, and that Jesus Christ, through the context of your church, is the answer. And not only that, churches, guys, when we invite people, we don't offer a clear next step. Hey, I'd love to see you Sunday at church. Yeah, maybe. And that's where if you go out and talk to your congregation, what would a perfect church invite sound like? They say like, oh yeah, hey, I want you to come to church 10:30. Yeah, I'll be there. Great. It's not good enough, right? Because what's going to happen? Hey, I'm ready to pick you up. Oh man, I totally forgot about that. There needs to be a clear and relevant next step. For example, hey, I understand world is tough, but actually when I went to this church, man, I really discovered God's power in my life. And you see how things have turned around. Do you want to go to church with me this Sunday at 11? Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. What time can I pick you up? Right? Next step. That's what's been missing. That's the secret thing that's been coming up. So let me give you a quick rundown of what you need to do to really create a perfect invite that's going to resonate with the people you're called to serve and get them to come visit you, come to an event, whatever it is. Number one, you got to think about what keeps them up at night. All right? I'm sorry, Pastor, but no one is staying awake at night, tossing and turning. It's 1 a.m. I can't fall asleep. My eyes are dry. My lips are wet. I've gone to the bathroom so many times. I've taken melatonin. I've taken magnesium. I've tried jump roping. I can't sleep because no one is making me a disciple. No one's saying that. So when you just shout, oh, we're a church that makes disciples, who makes disciples, nobody cares. And that's why nobody cares about you. Now they should. People care on this side of the door, but if you want to capture people's attention, you got to stop talking like a Christian and start talking like a problem solver. And yeah, the solution is Jesus Christ through the context of your local church. So think about what keeps them up at night. That's your hook. That's what gets attention. One of our consultants says that's your lean in. Imagine you had 1,000 people you could serve in a building. What's one sentence? Can't be a question. Can't be something any other church would say. What's one sentence that would get that person to lean in and to say, tell me more? I did it today. Bringing people to your church would be a lot easier if you just had a clear and easy to follow roadmap that would tell you what to do. And you kept watching because you were like, yeah, that would be easier. I didn't ask you to listen. I didn't say, hey, stop and watch this video, stop scrolling. I just told you the truth. But I said a truth that I know you want to hear. So what's a truth that your community would want to hear? What would give them relief? For many, it's just understanding that I know how hard it is. Look, today's world is as disconnected as ever. And it's a problem. It is a problem that our community members are isolated and they don't know each other. And if you don't know each other, you can't relate to each other. And if you can't relate to each other, you're lonely. And if you're lonely, you get depressed. And if you're depressed, man, that ball just keeps rolling downhill. All right. Now, length obviously plays a role, but don't worry about making it as short as possible. Just find a way to say, hey, I understand that this is a problem. Right. And it could take lots of questions where we kind of got to walk through it together. Okay. Either in consulting or in doing it for you. All right. For our church, it's, hey, we know Christians want to see their friends and family in heaven, but the church just hasn't equipped them to share Jesus. Right? You're like, yeah, that's true. Okay. You didn't say, oh, yeah. Hey, our church, you're welcome home. Yeah. We know the problem, and that's how we're going to answer it. Okay. But then not only that, you have to address how Jesus Christ, through the context of your church, addresses that need or addresses that pain. Okay. Because a local church is yes, in the evangelism business, but they're also in the business of growing the faith community and helping people work out their faith in community with one another. So if you preach Jesus Christ, great for you. If you use your marketing and that's how you want to use your marketing, very missional, but missional as far as the Great Commission, not missional, of making disciples as the church body is equipped to do, I believe. Maybe you don't believe, but this still works. Then great, you just become like another Living Waters, or you become another Answers in Genesis, another ministry that's just equipping people, but not really calling them into a local body, a specific local body. So how does your church address how Jesus Christ meets that, or how your church meets that need through Jesus Christ, right? How would you present your church as an answer to that need or pain? And then what transformation happens as a result? Okay, this is the hard part. It takes lots of practice. It takes lots of massaging. It takes lots of painful working through. It's like a workout. Okay, but if someone comes to your church and you don't think they're going to be transformed, you got bigger problems that marketing ain't going to solve. But if they can, you need to communicate that transformation, okay? A weight loss ad doesn't work if you don't see the after. A weight loss ad doesn't work if you don't see the testimony. Kitchen cooking gadgets. Ooh, that was fun to say. Kitchen cooking gadgets would work a lot better and sell more if they had testimonials. And you'll notice they always follow that pattern. Look, I once was always fumbling around, cutting myself. Garlic would stick to everything. I just hated cooking, and I ended up eating unhealthy meals. But now that I have the Slapper Chopper 5000, I can cook healthy meals. I've lost 10 pounds. I found $10 because I wasn't spending time chopping garlic. I was cleaning, and I found $10. I bought the lottery ticket, and I won $1 million. Thanks, Slapper Chopper 5000. Right? You know exactly what I'm talking about. And if stupid kitchen cooking gadgets can have crap like that, how much more important is it that we showcase the transformation, the true, eternal, everlasting transformation that happens in Jesus Christ through the context of our local church? Look, I want to invite you to church Sunday morning. I go, and if God can help me turn around and break my addiction, surely he can help you with this problem you just told me, brother. Okay? Yeah, the world sucks, but I know a great group of people that will actually care about you. And if you want to, we have game night on Thursday night. Love to have you. What time can I pick you up? Can I send you a text reminder? Right? Like showcasing that transformation. Don't stop there. Now show the transformation. Because once you figure out, like, once you're in this group, man, like, it's a lot of fun. I honestly can't even wait till the next group. In fact, if you come, we might just start our own group on Saturdays. We'll do it twice a week. Right? What kind of transformation is that? Oh, that sounds really nice. To be around people that have the same hobbies as me. Now that's more discipleship focused. Maybe the church is doing that group, right? What transformation comes as a result? And then you need to give them something to do next, okay? This is where it varies for church to church, right? Hey, can I pick you up Sunday morning at 10:30? What if you come over and watch, right? Like, hey, you can watch the service online. Yeah, I might do that first. Perfect. Why don't I make some of my great queso, and you come over and we'll watch it together. Right? That's more really, honestly, if someone's going to watch online church, it's more like how the early church would have done it, I think. But listen, if you don't have this perfect invite in place, okay, let's put it into context here. If you don't have this perfect invite in place, this isn't just for your people to use. This is also for your marketing to use. If your website doesn't call out that problem that just can't be solved except for Jesus Christ through the context of your church, if you don't point out how your church is the answer both empathetically and authoritatively to go through story brand method to people, okay? And if you don't showcase the transformation that happens as a result, no one will care, okay? This is why the first thing you should do, and the first thing we do with any client we work with, is to get that message down, okay? Our own church did the same thing. Like I said, we used to say, we're a church that we're a first century, what was it? We're a first century church in a 21st century world. What does that mean? Only Christians would somewhat understand what that was. So we shifted. We understand that a lot of Christians want to see their friends and family in heaven, but they don't know how to share Jesus, and it's uncomfortable to invite them to a new place surrounded by strangers. So what we do is we give you the resources to share Jesus Christ in your own home and also work out your own faith in the process to be the disciple maker you're called to be, so you can more easily share Jesus with your friends and family. We do ours Sunday afternoons. You want to come? Right? Like that's it sounds simple, But you got to wrestle with it. But when you do, just that one change will honestly get more people inviting to your church, and you get more people inviting. It's just a law of large numbers. You will get more people coming to your church. All right, let me take a swig here. So imagine this. Someone comes to your church. They walk up to you, pastor, after service, shake your hand, say, hey, I'm glad I was here. Look, you preached a good message. I really felt the presence of the Lord in me. Maybe God wants to do something with me. I don't know. But the reason I'm here is because when I was looking for a church, your name kept coming up. The name of the church kept coming up. And I felt like God was telling me something. I've heard this multiple times from our clients, and I know why that happens, and I'm going to share with you how that happens, because we intentionally put the church in front of people multiple times, even before they're looking for a church, but especially when they're looking for a church. And one of the easiest ways we do that is part of our peak positioning phase and a little bit of our momentum multiplier phase. And that's helping the church be engaging online, be found online, be accurately represented online, and be known as the provider of answers to people's needs and pains. Because here's how a lot of churches treat their websites. Okay? They think that if they just have it, people will find it. Okay? Just having a website doesn't let you be found. Okay? And by the way, as I'm talking through this, there are several pastors here that are going to take out their phone or go on their computer and look up churches in my town, church near me. And your church website is going to be the very first one that shows up. And you're going to think, I've got everything figured out. The real way to test this, can people find your church online, is to go to someone else's phone. Okay, your brother who's from out of town, your neighbor who doesn't go to your church or any church. Okay, go to someone who's not affiliated, who preferably has never been to your church website before, and do a Google search on their device. Because Google knows a lot about you and me, and it knows that if I search for a church near me, I'm probably looking for the one I've been to. Because come on, they know what website I've been to. They know what church I physically have been into, right? They're tracking my phone. They're tracking your phone. So if I search for church near me, it's going to give me Spring Baptist Church because that's where our daughter goes to Awana. So if I search for church, it's like, oh, well, he probably wants to go back to that church that he went to last year now that Awana is starting back up. So let's give him this church. And if you search for church near me, hey, Google knows this guy goes to church like every day. He probably forgot his website name. Let's give him his church first. He probably wants to see what his church looks like online. Let's give it to him first. You cannot rely on your own Google search result. You can't Google your church and get an accurate representation, okay? You got to do it on someone else's device, and 9 times out of 10 what happens is you realize you were never on the first page of Google. You go and figure out how to look at your website analytics, and you realize, oh man, there's only like 7 people coming to our website, and only one of them was a new person. How did they even find me? I don't know. Sometimes God works in spite of us, okay? Having a website and not having a plan to bring people to it is a very 2010 strategy. And it doesn't work in 2023, okay? We don't go and post on MySpace, and we don't just create a Facebook personal profile for our church. It doesn't work that way anymore. We have to adapt with best practices. Everyone and their mother has a free church website now. You've got to make yours better, more engaging, and more optimized to be found online. Okay? So you can't just have a website and not have a plan to bring people to it. It's the same thing as building a church and not having a plan to bring people to it. All right? And then the last thing is Google gives you a free way to show up not only on the first, which by the way, what we're going to talk about is mostly free unless you use specialized tools like we do to do it for you. But by the way, even if you have a terrible website, even if you are on page 1,000 of the Google search, Google actually will give you free money to advertise on its own platform in search. And when you advertise, you show up in that top spot if it's a good ad. If it's not, it shows at the bottom of the page. But do what I do. Do what I tell you, and you'll show up at the top. So not only can you show up, okay, let's think about this. If you make your website good, you'll show up on the front page. But not only that, I'm going to share with you how you can show up even above other websites using Google Business Profile. If you search for Google, if you search for churches near me, you won't get websites first. You'll get places first. Okay. And then if you use that ad grant, if you're a 501c3, you get up to $10,000 a month in ad spend. You can show up even above that. So guess what? I'm going to share with you the 3 ways here that you can rank on the first page of Google, not only 1 time as a website, not only 2 times as a website and a local business or a local place, but 3 times as a website, a local place, and an ad. And guess what's going to get people to say, man, God must be trying to tell me something. This must be the church I need to go to. They're here 3 times. Subconsciously, they might even think this church really wants me. And that's why you got to work on that message. Because if you show up 3 times and you don't have a compelling message, they're going to think this church really wants my money. So let me go through real quick the steps you can take to appear on the top of Google search 3 times. Number 1, go to business.google.com. Actually, I think it's google.com/business now. And claim your business profile. You can Google your search. You can Google your church. And in the little listing that appears in the sidebar on your desktop or at the top or on maps, there's a button that says own this business. Now, hopefully when you click that, it'll ask you for if you want to claim the business, and they'll send you a postcard or a phone call to verify, hey, I'm here, I own the business, or I run the business. And then you can get in there and just follow the step-by-step to at least complete the profile. You won't do all the advanced stuff that we do that will rank higher than you, but you can at least rank higher than the other churches that haven't done anything. And in some areas, that'll get you in the top 3. All right, follow those directions. Google.com/business, find your church. And if you're freaked out, if you're like, why is there already a business profile if I've never set it up? Because Google did it for you. Because Google knows everything. There's a church there. Let's make a profile for it. Okay. Which is why you got to go in and optimize it. Because if you change something, Google's not going to change it. And you got people calling your old phone number. Number 2 is you got to optimize your website to be extremely user-friendly. Meaning it loads fast. Meaning it's well-designed. Meaning it works good on a phone. I don't got to pinch and squeeze and zoom. Meaning when I go to your website, I actually click to do something. It's called your bounce rate. If you have a high bounce rate, okay, it's like Google's watching your church and people go in and they walk right out. Are you going to think that's a good church on a Sunday morning? 80 people walk in and immediately when the 80 people walk out, or 80 people, maybe your church of 20, 80 people walk in and 60 people immediately turn around and walk out. You think I'm going to think that's a good church? Now, don't get all high and mighty. Well, they're not in there for Jesus. Don't get all high and mighty. Don't ruin my illustrations. Google's paying attention to how many people click your website and then immediately leave. So optimize your website, create an online guest journey to bring people from brand new to being inspired to take a next step. Click this button. Okay. And then lastly, if you're a 501c3, get the ad grant, all right, and start using it. Now, it's incredibly complicated to use. I'm not saying that because I want to sell you something. I'm saying that because I, as the owner of an agency, cannot even figure out Google campaigns that are that meet the ad grant requirements. I had to hire someone to do it, and she does amazing work. It's incredibly complicated, right? And I can teach you how to do it using what the basically the SOPs that we have that get our clients results. But if you got to go out and figure it out on your own, it's going to take some time. Okay. But if you can get that grant and you can get those campaigns running, meaning they're actually running and spending money and maintaining above a 5% click-through rate, which means 5% of people that see that ad click on it, then you will get more people coming to your website and Google will rank you higher in the ads. Okay. You do that. When someone searches for a church near me, number 1, they're going to see an ad. Worship services near you to answer that hole in your heart. I don't know. I just made that up. Okay. They're like, okay, well, that's an ad. Scroll down. Places. Here's a church near you. Your church shows up. Okay, well, that's near me, so that's good to know. Scroll down. Maybe I know that that's a local place. I want to see websites. Maybe I'm looking for the Yelp top 10 churches, right? Well, guess what? Right below that and above Yelp's recommendations is your church. You got a hole in your heart and nothing seems to fill it. The answer's here. This is what fills your life. Not only fills it, but makes it overflow, right? You do that. Guess what? The first time, it's just an ad. Second time, okay, well, that's nice. They're near me. Third time, this church really, guys, is trying to get a hold of me. There's something here, okay? And if you do this when no other church is doing this, you will get people coming to your church. And that's why these are pillars of our definitive church marketing method, because you do this, people will show up. All right. When clients come with us, I don't know the exact number, but the bounce rate, meaning the number of people who click on the website and then leave without doing anything, is around 80%. Meaning 4 out of 5 people that come to your website don't do anything and they leave. Google sees 4 out of 5 people walk in your church, 4 of them immediately turn around and walk out. And Google's like, I'm not going to recommend that church. All right. Industry goal. I'm not saying this is the final goal, but industry goal, meaning like if you get to this number, you're good, 40%. All right. And if you can get your website engagement, your bounce rate down to 40%, Google will start taking you seriously, because obviously you're answering someone's questions. They're clicking through. And now instead of 4 out of 5 people walking out, now only 2 are walking out. More people are staying than leaving. So they must be doing something right. When we take these actions that I shared with you, the ad, the Google business profile, the organic ranking with the other websites, you show up there 3 times, your bounce rate will probably, if you have a good bounce rate, now you can be the sleazy salesman and bait and switch people, they will leave and Google will penalize you for that. But if you can get an actual guest journey and put that in front of more people, you will see better results. And when you see better results on Google, people will show up to your church. It's the law of numbers. Law of large numbers. All right. The best place to start with that is your actual website, because you can't promote something if it's not going to get clicks. You can't promote something if you don't know what people are supposed to do on your website. Okay. And maybe you have that perfect invite. Well, people searching for churches need to hear that perfect invite even inside of Google. So when they click your website, they should see that perfect invite. So go to navachurchwebsite.com, get our homepage framework. It's the same framework we use in these churches that we're tripling church guests, and implement on that site. This is free for you. This is what clients pay us, thousands of dollars. I'm giving it to you for free now. And put that on your site. You will see your bounce rate decrease. You'll see people clicking through your website increase. Same thing. You'll see more people planning a visit. You'll see more people watching your online sermons, and you will see more people showing up on Sunday, because if you do this, along with your Google business profile, along with your optimizations, along with getting the ad grant, you will show up 3 times on that homepage, and you will see a much greater impact and more people coming to you to hear the gospel and be discipled. This is possible for small churches. In fact, we do this for small churches, and I get large churches. Well, I don't get the large churches calling me. I wish they did. But I get the small churches saying, my small church pastor saying, hey, the pastor of this big church down the street with 2,000 people, they asked me how we are able to rank higher than them. I told them just to call you. All right, but they want to hire someone to do it. I get that. Right? Small churches need to outsource. That's why they stay small. It's because they keep trying to do everything on their own. All right. Go to navachurchwebsite.com, get the framework, make sure that I know what I'm talking about. Implement this for yourself. Start ranking higher in Google, get more people in, so you have the opportunity to make more disciples. That's what this is all about, right? If anything you do on your website, your marketing, if it's not to make more disciples, if it's not to share the gospel, if it's not for the Holy Spirit to call people, to convince them to surrender their lives, it's all for naught. It's a waste. It's bad stewardship. So anything you do, just like anything that we do, is to share the gospel so God can grow the kingdom. All right. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe wherever you're watching. Leave a review. That means the world to me. And by the way, when you leave a review, I challenge you, who can make the best review? Okay. How did you feel before you saw this show? How do you feel now that you know this show exists? And how has this show helped you in doing your ministry, carrying out your ministry, in serving in your ministry? I would love to know, and I would love it if you left it as a review. God bless you all, and I will see you all next week.
That's going to do it for today's episode of the Best Known Church Show with Justin Nava. Be sure to subscribe to stay updated on the latest news, strategies, and resources that you need to reach 10x more people and become the best known in your community. To send us a message or leave a voicemail for Justin to be played on a future show, visit thebestknownchurchshow.com. And if you'd like to work with us so you can focus on your ministry, give us a call at 832-861-7654. Until next time, stay outrageous, unreasonable, and relentless.